Приветствую вас, Мазели Милсдери, с вами Нот. Вот совсем недавно прошел первый в мире чемпионат по Гвинту Gwent Challenger, имею в виду официальный чемпионат. Уже определился чемпион, эта новость была у нас в группе, и скоро будет полноценный обзор на сайте. Кто к вам появится, я обязательно оставлю ссылочку под видео. А я вам представляю разбор первой партии. Мои комментарии были прямо в прямом эфире. Так как сам стрим длится целых 10 часов, то я разобью турнир на 7 частей, соответственно, по каждой паре. В этот раз я представляю вам партию Fion56 против Трампа. Приятного просмотра.
Today, these 8 players will face off in a single elimination bracket for a prize pool totaling $100,000. The first place prize will be taking home $60,000.
Так ты с нами или нет?
Спасибо за зафоллоу.
And best of luck in today's tournament, the first official tournament of Gwent, the Witcher card game. I'm Joshua Gray, joined by Dane McBurney and Miguel Monguay Guerrero Leon, and today we're very excited to be here because we get to crown our first Gwent champion.
It has been so exciting to watch the game grow and the community grow around this game through this closing.
Итак, выбор сделан, и мы пока что не знаем, какие колоды были забанены. Сейчас игроки сбрасывают карты из стартовых карт, которые им дают. Во время этого процесса
вот это цветопередача.
Они могут от 3 карт получить какие-то другие. Ну, то есть они могут вообще никакие не сбрасывать, могут сбросить до 3 карт.
Да, можно ту же самую карту, которую ты получил, сбросить еще раз. Например, сейчас почему-то роучи хотят, то есть плотву засейвить. Вот плотва убирается, она логично совершенно уходит из изначальной колоды, потому что она очень легко появляется на столе.
Да, но Здесь можно что сказать про плотву. Есть некоторые особенности вот этого муллигана, то есть когда выбрасываешь карты. И эти особенности, ну если не вдаваться совсем в глубокие подробности, таковы, что если ты сбрасываешь какую-то карту первой, то довольно большой шанс, что эта карта придет вот когда начнет следующий раунд, да, в руку. Да. Есть, поэтому плотву лучше сбрасывать последней для того, чтобы шансы минимизировать на то, что она с новой картой придет в руку, а плотва в руке — это то, чего мы вообще не хотим.
Напоминаю то, что каждый ход карты не даются в руку.
Бесит.
То есть у вас изначальная колода, и только после того, как происходит первая битва, да, то есть вы заканчиваете первую битву. Напоминаю, то есть у нас есть 3 битвы, 3, так сказать, раунда, можно сказать, да, периода, как вам больше нравится.
Это раунды.
3 раунда. И после первого раунда вам дается 2 карты, после второго раунда 1 карта. То есть по факту все, что у вас есть сейчас в руке, оно играется, и дальше вы уже при помощи этих карт вытаскиваете из колоды все остальное. Что касается Фиона, он взял себе чудовище, это по признанию Иоанна 2-я колода по силе. И она играется через спам персонажей на деку. Что касается, соответственно, Трампа, он взял себе...
Трамп взял себе Скеллиги, это островитяне, колода, которая постарается наносить урон собственным юнитам и потом использовать вот ту карту, которая у него есть, она называется «Боевой клич», вот она слева, где с человеком и флагом. Да. И что она сделает? Она увеличит вдвое здоровье всех раненых существ на поле.
То есть вам надо сделать так, чтобы все ваши существа на поле были ранены, но не убиты.
Да.
И таким образом вы сделаете их в 2 раза сильнее после использования спала, то есть особой карты. Что касается красной колоды, то есть чудовищ, вся идеология поставлена на том, что ваши персонажи имеют возможность пожирать друг друга на деке. И после каждого пожирания ваши некоторые существа становятся сильнее или спамят, соответственно, других существ и так далее. То есть вы наращиваете свою собственную силу при помощи пожирания своих же собственных персонажей.
Да, именно так. И посмотри, любопытный лидер выбран у Fion56. Это Геэльс. Геэльс может дать большой бонус к силе всему своему полю, и бонус тем больше, чем больше существ стоит на поле в данный момент. И стоит предположить, что, видимо, как только произойдет пожирание, вон тот главоглаз раненый с 5 здоровья призовет маленького главоглазика, и, видимо, в колоде там есть еще главоглазики, да, которые повыпрыгивают на поле. Но мы это увидим, как только произойдет первое пожирание.
Интересная позиционка для Врана.
Это все в порядке, ведь именно в этот ряд будут маленькие главоглазы
да.
попадать, и он их будет поедать. То есть дальше ему просто достаточно подставить кого-нибудь, кого бы Вран там дальше съел. А вот кого он будет подставлять-то? Икиму, что ли? Да, видимо, Икиму.
Для тех, кто еще пока не знаком вообще, в принципе, с тем, что вы видите на экране, слева у вас
Это не у меня
под
с
Фионом
качеством.
и над Трампом находится сила. То есть все, что сейчас выложено на столе, например, 29 силы у Фиона и 19 у Трампа, это то,
у них.
сколько у вас, соответственно, сейчас вот силы на деке, и у того, у кого больше к концу раунда, тот и выигрывает. То есть по факту вы выставляете просто-напросто на своем поле боя своих бойцов, и, соответственно, с этим дальше, после того, как заканчивается раунд, они как бы сражаются с друг другом и примеряют силы. И если у вас больше силы, то вы выиграли первый раунд, но надо выиграть всего 2 из 3. Соответственно, второй раунд, если вы выиграли первый, обычно отдается специально для того, чтобы выбытить у оппонента максимальное количество нужных ему карт.
Да, действительно играет Киму Фион, она пожирает существо. Да, и вот то, о чем я говорил, появляются главоглазки. Какая комба сейчас.
I think you probably would be satisfied with 14.
Да.
With Gerald Ignia. Sometimes, obviously, he wanted to get
Контрастность, конечно, тоже на уровне. Не, на английском лучше. Сейчас, ребята, кое-что сделаем.
The key card in Trump's hand right now is that Coral. Coral can enable him to win this first round, maybe not even needing Warcry in the process. The problem is, if Karen comes onto the board before Coral does, he could save out on a lot of strength loss because Karen absorbs the strength of all the units it eats. It eats 3 units and it absorbs their strength. And it packs all that strength to a gold body, which is invulnerable to weather. So timing is going to be very important right here.
Yeah. And we can take a closer look at Karen. With each consume, the Ericus begin to spawn at other Ericus. So with each consume, 3 additional Ericus are spawned, and there's 3 instances of that consume. So a ton of strength can come out of this last card as we see these players fight very long into this first round. Gwent's always best of 3, so you're always playing to win 2 out of 3.
Yep.
And this is a deep one right here.
Yeah, you don't always have to win the first round. Actually, your objective is to win 2. And a very important strategy that revolves around passing here is card advantage. Every single card in Gwent is very valuable. If your opponent has just one more
Там
card
не
than you, that could be the difference between
у
winning
меня
or
интернет
losing.
не
So both
выдержит.
players here really pushing hard as Trump is able to finally match the strength of Fion, both at 59. Fion with a lot of power in hand, though.
Думаю, так будет лучше.
Is a dead card for now, though. So he's got 2 cards left, basically.
Так.
And there's the Kieran. Oh, that's terrible for Coral. That could be a little bit... Actually, that could be very terrible for Trump right here. The big worm is going to start eating the monsters, and the army of spiders is just getting... This Gels is going to be absolutely...
Русский стрим отстает, и там качество, жесткое.
Probably build enough points, even with the Warcry in hand, with Trump here, which will get him a lot of strength.
Ярче.
It probably won't be enough to overcome. It should be a safe pass, as Gravehag is absolutely, I mean, you could play it this round, but you really want to play it.
Oh, yeah, but I think definitely you keep it. You cannot play it here. He doesn't even need it. Like, I think this can just completely beat his... I mean, he does have Coral, so he can't shut that down. But Coral doesn't really do as much as you would think, because how many spiders are there in the raise row? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh,
Так вот нормально?
That's a lot.
That's
a lot of spiders.
Not just so much talking about this round here, but also that's a lot of spiders to go into the graveyard. So Gravehag is really strong. Being able to build this graveyard up right now actually can provide an opportunity for a 2-0, being able to drop Gravehag as the sole unit in round 2. And if Trump can't overcome it there, it could be the card that sticks around and goes.
Сейчас по-любому пойдет Гейлс. Ну что для Гейлса лучше применение не найти.
Here we go. 135 strength, ladies and gentlemen. Can he even deny this? I am not sure, actually, because even though Coral, I think Coral will set that road to more or less, it will set it to 15. So we got to do a little bit of math here. Actually, Coral could be very well enough for him to take this round. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think the decision right now is
but he's playing that.
Slayer pass. He is he's playing the Young Berserker.
Oh,
I think he's probably anticipating a pass from his opponent.
Ну, по сути, если он сыграет Берсерка, чувак просто нажимает пас, и чувак просирает Корал. И все.
It's a very complex, like, strength swing, considering the massive stage of the board. Fion passes. In case you guys are wondering what that last card is in his hand and why it only has one strength and why would he be running it, it is called Grave Hag. Oh well, here we go. Here we go. It is enough. Trump takes the first
Fion
round.
выиграл
Does go down
первый
one
матч.
in card advantage. And we will witness now what Fion56 will keep with his monster pass for the next turn. A spider, a 7-strength spider. But here comes the vampire, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm talking about. The 10-strength unit. As we see Clear Skies and Donar. That's an excellent draw for round
Donar
2
выпал,
for
лол.
Trump. That is outstanding.
Fion actually got some great draws as well. Caretaker, one of the strongest cards in the game, I think, and also one of the most interesting cards, as it makes every matchup unique as you play a card from your opponent's graveyard when you play that card. So it really depends on the matchup, in each case, what you want to take.
Что нужно сделать Фиону? Ему нужно,
Is huge right now.
скорее всего, юзануть
Врана.
Врана. Если парень не пасует, потом вытащить ключника. Но после этого ему уже силы не хватит ни на что.
In case anyone is very confused as to why Trump played a unit on the opposing side of the field, he did a misclick, don't worry. It's actually a spy unit, and they are very good units. Like, they basically give the opponent strength at the expense of an extra draw, aka card advantage. And the best moment to use these kind of cards is precisely in the round that you plan on losing anyways, because it's very difficult to 2-0 somebody in Gwent. Like, you have to be a much better skilled player or have a ridiculous matchup for your opponent to do so.
Он еще и пасует. Не, ну, в принципе, правильно сделал, что остается Вран в любом случае.
Denying the Vran consumption, which is very important. He's only going to translate 6 strength to the next round alongside the very last Necker in his deck, which is also going to be...
На самом деле, нужно было ставить Врана в передний ряд.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last round. The one who wins this wins it all. That Grave Hag is looking extremely powerful, and that Caretaker as well. Because it is
Блин, Фион слил. Ребята, скиньте ему ссылку на трансляцию. Ну, ё-моё, CD Projekt Red там находишь. Самая большая трансляция по Гвинту.
He's also going to be denying Trump's ability to resurrect more bears on his side. We only see one resurrect in Trump's hand, so the limit was really just one card anyway. However, the first light can also draw a bronze card out of the deck as well, which could realistically be a Priestess of Freya, as those are usually late game cards, and it's possible that he gets one from there as well. He might even.
Да, с Франом надо было ставить на передний ряд.
Let's see what he gets here. And he does get the Priest of Freya. That's a lot of strength, man. If he goes for the Bears, that is a 16 strength bronze play. One of the strongest round 3 plays from Skellige. And is also weather immune. As we see Althor's Thunder and Grave Hag left in Fion's hand. The question is, will Grave Hag be enough?
Что ему надо сделать?
I think Trump is in trouble, actually.
Если у него нету... Короче, Фиону надо подставить бабу, чтобы ее съел Вран, и чтобы бафнулся Накер.
Well, I mean, if you've played on the ladder, you know Grave Hag is a card to watch out for, and he has the answer to that big problem. Really, without having that archer in hand, it's a completely different story.
Oh, he's gonna play it now!
Oh, he's gonna play it.
О, ё-моё, вы чё? Вы чё?
Exactly. Oh my god, I can't believe this. There comes the Grave Hag. That could have been easily killed by the archer. Does he have?
У него есть в сбросе еще один лучник? Я опустил просто. А, есть, все нормально. Все нормально. Ему не хватит все равно. Надо было сделать так, чтобы Вран съел бабу.
Matchup all the time. We're gonna see a lot of Monsters bans because of that, and it was great to see. It was great to see Gels represented there. Gels is very strong with a deck like this. Dagon is a very flexible monster leader, as we'll probably see a lot of Dagon later in the tournament. But Gels in this case definitely excels, especially when you are lucky enough to draw 3 Ericus Behemoths in your opening hand and just control the game like that. So.
Походу обновить. Зависла трансляция.
Most powerful gold in Skellige, which is Coral. So nice lead for Fion, but a very tight game. 3 points. That's it.
Yeah,
that was crazy actually. Super intense.
Just waiting to get into the next
Походу
one here.
будем
It looks
без вебки дальше.
Here we go.
So he's got the win with the monster deck. Let's see what Fion brings this time around. There he is! There he is, the trump card. John Calvate against Scoia'tael. This is a very interesting matchup. Scoia'tael really struggles with the spy strategy. In case you guys are wondering how these decks function, basically the Scoia'tael deck is a control-heavy deck that swarms the board a lot and tries to shut down what your opponent is trying to do and play around card advantage and having the last say in things. A very dominant deck in the metagame, as John Calvate is actually considered to be more of a fun deck, really, but it's basically what gave Fion the
Calvate лол на турнире. Серьезно.
He feels very confident in that list, and the use of heavy spies can really disrupt Scorch from Scoia'tael, which could be a very big factor here. I'm very excited about this matchup, as we see Roach in the hand still of Trump. He's still not replacing. I guess he's blacklisting. There goes Roach. There goes Roach. He has triple overhead Dragoon in hand, though.
Драгуна одного брать надо, нет?
Decks have very clear,
Либо кандалы.
more streamlined way to victory, whereas the monster decks can really just kind of overpower with strengthened units. Both of these decks are trying to do something very specific. In Fion's case, the spies will help generate a lot of card advantage here, and as well with the operator being able to play 2 Cantarellas is very difficult to deal with, especially when you can pull them right back on your side of the board.
Yep.
So not only that, but also Letho as well, being able to demote him and pull him back. It's very, very hard to fight against that. Not a lot of action is going to happen on Fion's board. Most of his cards are special cards and spies, actually. In the inverse, for Trump's Scoia'tael, his main goal is to use those Vria Dragoons we see in his hand to buff cards in his own hand and carry that strength all the way into the end and then just drop a bomb of a unit. So we're going to see what card Trump chooses to buff in his hand.
Ну, Фиона хорошая рука, конечно.
How the control game is going to work here, as Scoia'tael is usually trying to control and build strength throughout
the game. Fion56 leading off with Stefan Skilling, fishing for decoy. I think aiming to decoy the operator to get another extra copy of Cantrell. And in case you guys are wondering what the heck this guy does, John Calvate right there chilling so swaggly in his chair with his sword in hand. John Calvate is a very fascinating leader, actually. He has actually the most powerful swingy ability in the game, but it has to be an ability that you build up towards. You cannot just apply it immediately. What it does is every single spy that you generate and you drop on your opponent's side of the board, you can bring them back to your side. And this is the most powerful type of swing in Gwent, because not only are you taking strength away from them, you're also building it up on your side. So it's kind of like a duplicate effect. A very strong one at that. The weakness of John Calvate, though, is that he gasses out very easily. Like, he can win one round easily, but the difficulty, the trick, is winning the second round.
Letho is a huge swing kind of in its own right, and he does have the Dimeradium Shackles, which enables John Calvate to pull Letho over, as he generally wouldn't be able to do that with a gold card. But it's not just John Calvate. Now, John Calvate, whenever I play against John Calvate on the ladder, it's just a feeling of dread, because you know what he can do. You see it all happen in front of you, and you just have to figure out how you want to approach that. But it's not just John Calvate. In this particular list, we see Menno Cohorn in hand. Now, if you can't pull the spies back, it's kind of...
Объясняют, зачем мейна Кайгорн. Ему нужно уже ВГ 2 раунда, да? На один раунд он выигрывает с помощью Лета, на второй раз с помощью Кайгорна. Или наоборот.
This is a well-known and beloved strategy by everybody as these Verhead Dragoons step on the... what they do basically is they buff a unit, and as you know, McBeard explained, they buff it up over and over again so that it is their last card in the last round. Like they're basically building up their win condition for the end round. Both of these decks
Ой, мисплей у Фиона жесткий. Догадается ли Трамп прожать двойную казнь? Сейчас. Догадается. Молодец.
For a silver card and goes for a Scorch for a total of 16 damage. He lost the opportunity to oh no, it wasn't decoy what he searched for. What did he search for?
No, he got the Scorch, and it was
No, I mean with Stefan Skellen. How do you pick decoy?
Well, I may have missed that myself. we're going to see next time he gets a chance to draw. As he doesn't.
Oh no, he hasn't drawn it yet. Never mind, he hasn't drawn it yet. So he did miss. He did miss the chance to decoy the operator, which is absolutely devastating for Fion as it disrupts.
Подписчики Альба.
But I mean, he still does have an extra copy on Cantarola, which is the most powerful card in this deck. As he draws an Alba Spearman, a 7 strength range unit with the shield ability. What the shield ability means is that the first instance of damage that it would take from weather, specials, whatever, is nullified, and its shield is destroyed in its place. As we see another Dragoon drop there.
Yeah, the Alba Spearman's a really interesting choice. Not a very popular pick, even in John Calvert decks. You wouldn't necessarily always choose to put that card in your deck. So again, with that surprise factor, we'll see how this card plays out and if it actually ends up being like where that tech comes from to choose.
I'm actually familiar with it. I'm actually familiar with it because I utilize this, but because the synergy with Combat Engineer basically, because it's a very solid target for Ambassador. If you're able to buff it, then any sort of like special, like
Александр, Фион выиграл у Трампа одну партию пока что.
So that gives you a solid Ambassador target, which is what I think is the reasoning Fion is bringing here, as he does pick up the decoy that he set up at the top of his deck with Stefan scaling at the beginning. A little bit too late though, unfortunately.
Well, it may not be too late. It's always good to hold on to decoy.
You can decoy the spy too.
Yeah, absolutely. You can bounce the spy back. We do see Yavin in hand for Trump, so I think that's a pretty fair use for decoy, and it's possible that Fion is anticipating that. You can do a couple other things with decoy as well. And in a pinch, if you absolutely have to, making Roach a 6-strength card isn't so bad, especially it does protect against Cyprian Wiley, which is not a factor at this time. But, when it comes back in every round, 6 strength is fair, but I think it might be held on to for Yavin here. Both opponents having 2 spies in hand.
We see
Что-то переводить-то.
for the Cantarola there that was given to him by the operator. This is very, very interesting.
О, Мильва. Мильва ему, блин, это спасение
The
просто.
thing about the John Calvey matchup is pro players struggle with this matchup. People at the very high ends of the ladder say,
Только не понимаю, зачем он отдал чучело с Кайтаэлей, когда можно подать вторую Канторел, у него же еще есть Йевин, у него есть Мильва. Почти у всех с Кайтаэлей есть Мильва, лол. Ему нужно, не знаю, ощущение, что хавать летом сейчас все или что, ну блин, ну это жесть. Ну правильно делает.
And add it to his side of the board after a 6 base strength deficit, which is what happens to Cantarola. But Milva! Milva enters the board and returns the spy to the hand. Oh boy.
Yeah, this is really a battle of spies here. It's going to be, Scoia'tael is a very hard opponent to get.
Ребята, дайте парню ссылку, он же не может найти трансляцию Гвинта на главной странице на Твиче.
Allows them to choose whenever they want to go first or not. Generally not, so you can have that last say. But
если он сожгет 2 Канторел, то ему даже обилка не понадобится. Понимаешь? Айрон.
Trump's giving him that long round, but playing, with these kinds of spies, again, 2 answers. John Calvet is a huge swing, and Menno Cohorn is also a huge swing.
I'm actually like really curious about the. Okay, no, I do like the Cantarola, the Milva and the Cantarola play, but I'm curious to see what he was looking for when he was looking at the battle log, what he's keeping up with. He has a tremendous lead, but he has to take into consideration that at any moment, because Fion is 1 card ahead of him, he will not lose card advantage when he goes for his leader's ability. And that, right now, he takes away 26 strength from him and adds a total of 14 to himself. So he goes at 26, and 55 minus 26 is still not enough. Like, John Calvey is still not enough, I believe, for Fion to take the round. So he needs to invest more spies. That Milva was definitely very key, but it does give him, like, somewhat of a dead card in his hand, in the sense that it's not technically a dead card, but he's going to give 15 strength to Fion for the sake of drawing a card, which I don't know if is worth it. If you do want to win this round, he's still investing with this Behead Dragoon.
Если он выиграет первый раунд, без разницы, будет его обилка бесполезна или нет.
I think if you're a newer player, or maybe this is the first time you're seeing Gwent, this might be the most confusing matchup to witness because of how much is happening and how little is happening on Fion's board, and what's how Trump is answering the spy game here, which Fion is presenting. And
Да, разрабы, походу, не смогли сделать режим нормальный.
While John Calvert favors a long round to win, it's also favorable to get that done with. So
почему-то опять копейщиков Альбы не поставишь.
Ambassador enters the board and buffs up Roach.
То есть у него же есть Конторелло на 15, он ставит, допустим, Контореллу и сжигает их казнями, например.
As now Trump finally decides to go with the Elven Mercenary, and he's going to shackles the Roach, which means that, in case you don't know, Roach is a card that basically, regardless of where it is, unless it's in the hand, of course, deck or graveyard,
да, Мир, это турнир, я не хотел отвечать на этот, вопрос не очень интеллектуальный, мягко говоря. Сейчас бы про Челленджер не знать.
Absolutely, yeah.
Poor Roach, she's just suffering over and over again today.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of horseplay, I think, with dealing with Roach and Roach is a very popular card. Not only does it thin your deck, it also basically enhances every gold card you play. And while there is really only one option there, locking Roach is fair. You don't really want to deal. If you lose by a little bit, it's Roach that's usually going to do it here.
Yep.
Yeah.
We see the Impair Brigade enter there. Finally, Fion is starting to develop some strength on his side. The investment on the opposing side is, you know, he's still got more options in hand, but he's starting to develop his own tricks there with the 14 strength Impair Brigade, a 6 strength unit that got buffed for each spot on the opposing side. Elven Mercenary picks a random spell from
шпионов
your
тут
deck.
правильно делает, потому что надо сейчас прокручивать деку перед шпионами, чтобы золото стягивать.
Which can target either the Impair Brigade or Roach and take away 3 strength from them.
Это вторая катка, первый раз выиграл Фион. Для того, кто начал играть, зайди на наш сайт, посмотри мета-отчет.
While that's not in hand, he is holding another spy in hand, Joachim Duet. Important to note for Nilfgaard, not every spy draws you a card into hand.
Yeah.
All factions have that, but Nilfgaard has a wide variety of disloyal units and how they affect your board. And in this case, he was probably waiting to get the Emperor Brigade on board before playing Joachim Duet, because Joachim Duet
Ему можно схавать сейчас лето.
Bring that combat engineer out, even though there's only one.
Да, плотву. Правильно.
I promise. Letho is a very unique and interesting card. It is a disloyal gold unit that banishes 2 units to his left and 2 units to his right, like banishing. So he also denied Roach. Roach just being denied constantly in these set of games. It's just maybe it wasn't the right option to bring, seeing as everybody's so prepared for it.
All the Witcher 3 fans just not happy with how Roach has been treated in this tournament so far, and I have a feeling it's not going to stop. It's just, you know, he's just collateral damage sometimes.
It happens.
Casualties.
Now, we got to point out that John Calvate's ability is limited to silver and bronze cards, not gold. So in order to be able to take Letho back to his side of the board, oh, no more bronze units in his deck. That was a dead rally. That's unfortunate.
Окей, ну сейчас мы почему, ему надо сейчас разблочить лето и ждать, пока надо это будет сжечь или, блин, просто кальви там перетянуть.
Have to play a card every turn here, so it does allow him to stay into this round, and you know, every card representing a turn, it's important here, especially for.
По сути, он сейчас должен выиграть с одного мейна Кайгорна. Сейчас ему можно вполне себе просто потратить кандалы на лето без проблем.
Letho, now I want to fall back a little bit what I was saying earlier. In order for him to be able to bring Letho back, he has to remove the gold status. And he does have...
Ага, он с плотвы снял.
Well, he doesn't have the shackles. He obviously has a lot more value in unlocking Roach, which means that Roach will come back. But that shackles...
Не забываем, что у Трампа еще 2 шпиона, то есть надо сейчас Кальвиту юзать обилку прямо сейчас. И думать о том, чтобы пасовать. Но проблема в том, что у Трампа набафанная лучница выиграет ему раунд на изи.
for Trump. He has 7 cards left in his deck. He's managed to thin through it efficiently. But drawing a dead special is not really what he needs right now, as Fion is not that far behind in strength when his leader's ability.
Правильно.
Look at that swing, ladies and gentlemen, 68 to 52, completely.
Так, у него есть 20 силы, и значит ему еще не хватает.
Menno Kohihorn in his hand. The gold unit basically at the right side of Fion's hand is a very interesting unit. It is a 10 strength.
Если Трамп закидывает шпиона, я бы на его месте пасанул, потому что Трампу не хватит 2 карт, чтобы догнать.
And I think that's the kind of strategy he's utilizing to steal the second round. That's so difficult to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Saskia, опа.
the idea of playing John Calvert at this stage of the game could really lure Trump into a false sense of
Турнир
security
проходит
here.
в Катовице.
Now knowing that ability is off the table, he no longer has to worry about it. Like I said, you feel that dread, you know it's going to happen, but then it happens, and now the game continues. However, Menno is that second answer to taking away that strength from disloyal units, as that strength is never truly yours against a deck like this.
Now, I've been doing a little bit of counting, and Saskia is not enough to take the round for Trump, so he would have to expend 2 cards to be able to take it back. He still can do so because of the buffed up unit in his hand, but neither Saskia
Теперь Фиону нужно каждый раунд ввести по картам.
I don't know if Fion will be, aware of this, but
oh
boy, look at that, the second impair.
Вот теперь можно пасовать. 100%, я не знаю, ну, пипец. Ему нужно 3 карты теперь, причем обе сильные карты сдать. Билку Трамп уже завязал. Пасует, да?
Let Fion take the first round and try to control the game from here.
Yep.
He does have some very strong cards in hand. Saskia being
Вот Трамп сделал правильно.
one of the best faction goals in the game, and also a very
there's the other very good faction. Yeah, gold.
Archer.
There's a Sengrim right there as he draws. As you were saying, Saskia and the Sengrim, as you pointed out, are very strong. Like
Я бы на месте...
strongest gold units for Skoyto right there. As here comes the passive. The passive enables Trump to choose.
Амир, ну такие простые вопросы я сейчас не буду отвечать, потому что как бы, ну, тут не стрим обучающий. Ну, правильно сделал Фион, да. Ему выгоднее затянуть раунд, поискать шпионов еще. Только проблема в том, что у Трампа есть еще Изенгрим. Типа, ну, тоже очень четко.
Even though Fion would normally not go first in this circumstance, he will be going first here. Terrible draw
Трамп выиграл.
For Fion, but because Nilfgaard can remove that, it's a pretty decent win.
Лицо Фиона, короче, про мелитовую бомбу нормально, да? Не, все, короче, Трамп выиграл в этой партии. Ну, именно вот в этой.
Aglaze is Skoyatel's prime finisher. It can basically recycle a special card in your graveyard, and the biggest usage out of Aglaze as of right now is the silver special Scorch, which eliminates the strongest unit on either side of the board. As leads up with the Alpha Spear.
Олег, русские кастеры есть, они в ВК. Господи. Сегодня день тупых вопросов.
Yeah, Isengrim was a good draw because, much like many of the great cards in this game, he favors a long round, and Trump is holding 2 special cards at least, plus Aglace will proc Isengrim to spawn an additional Neophyte, and and then there's of course the Archer to look out for here.
This is going to be very intense. Also, it's important to know that Trump will have the last say in this game because of the Skoyatel passive, so that means that he's gonna have the last play in the entire match, which is a very big deal, especially if you're a Skoyatel player. That's what Skoyatel thrives at. As Fion is debating here what to do. He's gonna opt to go with Vilgefortz. Vilgefortz is a very complex and interesting unit.
Зачем он сейчас играет?
More Roach.
More Roach cruelty.
Я так и знал, что
That's a combat engineer, a unit that gives resilience to another unit on the board for the next round. But because it is the round number 3, that's as dead of a draw as you can get. Fion getting some very bad top decks here.
Well, it's 4 strength only, so Vilgefortz kind of totaling up 12. Usually.
Ну все, сейчас Трамп просто настакает на новичков, там поставит Саскию, изи катка. Он смотрел, по-моему, в блокнотике, есть ли у него отряды.
And we were talking about the importance of deck thinning here. So we saw Trump just use Clear Skies, which did nothing, but there were no units left to pull for that rally effect, which is the secondary effect of First Light. So while we're oohing and ahhing about the quality of Trump's draws, he really did facilitate that by thinning his deck down. We can see that he only has 3 cards left in his deck. The probability of drawing Aglace was fairly high. Both of these decks, though, especially with the spy game that happened, very, very.
Проблема в том, что некуда реализовать яд Мантикоры, Пиону. Мэнека и Горна некуда.
Because Trump does have the last say in this game, he can play the Archer at the very end, which makes it so that Fion cannot reply to it with the Demeritum Bomb in his hand, which is very, very unfortunate for him. Menoko Ehorn has no spies to, no betrayers to kill. So he's just basically a 10 strength gold there, bringing Fion up to 32. We may see a 22 strength lead right now for Fion, but look at that Archer. That is the biggest Archer I've seen in a while. 17 strength, hitting something for 3. That is a 20 strength card sitting in Trump's hand, which could very well be, sorry for the pun, his Trump card.
Well, it's a very stark difference in hands here, whereas Trump's gold cards are all very strong with very powerful effects. We've seen.
А чё Саскию так рано? Он хочет Саски сбить щит пищка Альбы, чтобы потом эффективно заюзать молнию. Проблема в том, что Мильву некуда. Ой, не Мильву, а Аглайсу некуда юзать.
A medic that actually resurrects an opposing bronze unit. So he's going to have to fish towards Trump's graveyard and see what he can pull from there to potentially win him this game, but it's looking grim for him. He's only 12 points ahead, and again, I know I talk about that Archer a lot, but big Archer is big.
Yeah, the spotlight's on it right now.
Иван, давай, ты знаешь, что у него набафанный отряд.
Doing that graveyard tour, Aglace, just kind of to, make sure Aglace is pulling the special that you want, and then of course on Fion's end.
Тут Аглайса скорее нужно в яд, потому что Скорч ничего не даст.
Squirtle doesn't have a lot of great targets for Vico Varomedic. In this particular matchup, the Vico Varomedic is probably weaker than most. But you'd be satisfied with 8 strength. But once again, with Vilgefortz...
Если сейчас новичок станет во второй ряд, то был бы шанс. Так нет шанс.
It's just base strength at this point that Fion's able to boast here.
He may utilize Demeritum Bomb to actually buff his own back row, but it's looking very grim for Fion56 right here as his 2 cards remaining. He basically needs Trump to develop the Archer.
Есть вариант ему раззолотить средний ряд и потом закинуть яд Мантикоры на 12 урона. Но столько же урона даст и лучница, но Трамп же лучницу не выдаст. Типа стабильный вариант.
So he's giving up this game.
I mean, he did have options. He did have options.
Возможно, он рассчитывал, что это Тарувель.
I mean, we all know as the Dragoons came down, Fion knows how strong that Archer is.
Yes.
So really, realistically, putting that prediction on
1-1.
that the Archer is coming
Ладно.
last in that case, he probably just thought, let's just save everybody some time here. But he didn't have to pass. He could have played it out. But yeah, that Archer did kind of represent Fion's doom in that case.
Закрылась.
I actually thought that might have been good enough. To see Calvita in the tournament is fantastic.
И он на Франциске играл?
Not just the fact that it's Nilfgaard, but also, for a long time, Morvar and Voorhees was the faction.
Я болею за русских. Вот. За Пронео болею.
John Calvert really is, you know, if you
Он не мог выиграть. Да, не мог выиграть.
so much happen in a round.
Просто он там...
Really building
Если лучница не последней картой, все, ну типа... То есть если лучница последней картой, то Фион сливал. Возможно, ребят, вы еще подумайте немножко про другое. Возможно, он не хотел палить противнику, что у него есть двумеритовая бомба. Он понимал, что сливает, и не хотел палить карту, которую еще он этой декой еще будет играть. И, возможно, он не хотел все свои карты палить. Вот.
Is interesting because both players really invest into one round. Geralt Dignity in the opening hand of Trump, very powerful here if he does save it up for when, you know, John Calvert goes for his ability.
Yeah, the good news about the Nilfgaard deck losing for all of you Nilfgaard fans out here is that you get to see it again. But, you know,
это первая двойка.
Like I said before, it is a very planned and very methodical way of playing. When you see John Calvert,
Плотва зашла, Фиону зашла плотва.
You know, if Trump's seen it on the ladder, which is not, you know, not a very commonplace for Nilfgaard these days, especially this deck.
Best of 5, right?
Monsters, but knowing monsters is out of the picture here, John Calvert should have a chance to win, but he does have to win with it to advance. So John Calvert's going to have to secure a victory if Fion is going to see the next round.
Yep, as we see Trump going first this time around, triple Raging Berserker in his hand with an Archer and the Savage Bear and the Warcry. That's actually a very decent looking hand, and that Regis, that premium Regis, with that Crow moving around, not bad. That's a very solid looking hand as we see on Fion's side. Double Imperial Brigade, a bunch of emissaries, Vilgefortz and Cantrella, but Roach in the opening hand, that is
Капа мастер, не вовремя спрашиваешь. Нет, это не решающее. Это best of 5. Написано 1-1. Ничего-то не хватает, вам не кажется?
But there is still a problem with Roach being in the hand in that Vilgefortz cannot use Roach as that springboard to get another unit on board without really sacrificing anything. But it also represents a turn that is not basically going to happen. I mean, unless Fion plays Roach from hand, you know, you generally would rather have it in the deck to come out. So it's possible that Vilgefortz or Roach are much limited, and Fion not having the best of luck with Vilgefortz so far, and the luck is...
Трамп, Александр. Ему что-то посмотрите на экран. Написан счет слева.
Creature from your own graveyard, and that is the Savage Bear that was dropped down by Fion turn 1 with the Manticore Venom. As he drops a Raging Berserker, it gets hit, and you guys have seen this before. It turns into a very big, bad bear that is immune to weather.
And Fion probably predicted that this would start to happen as he swiftly tried to answer the Savage Bear, but you know, nothing really stays down in Skellige, especially in round 1. Medics bring things back with great ease. So keeping the Savage Bear down in round 1 is very hard if there are ways to bring it back, and Skellige has a lot of ways to do that. King of Beggars is one of the best legendary cards, neutral, so you can put that in any deck at all, and it really works well in Skellige, as Priestess of Freya is a highly desirable unit to have back, kind of on call.
Yes.
And, you know, King of Beggars will usually always pull it.
Double Raging Bear in the melee row of Trump, leading him up to 31 strength, as Fion is just continuously continues to develop these spies. Now this is very interesting because of the Savage Bear is actually weakening these spies. So at first it may seem like it's a good thing for Fion, but he wants to potentially bring them back. So these getting weakened does also weaken the strength of the John Calvert ability slightly.
Ой, блин, красиво. Амбассадор бафнул прям вот прям как надо.
Catch up. Does he have combat engineering? And he does. That is nicely threatening.
It's not gonna haunt him in round 3 if he has it now.
Ой, как же под Игни подставляется пацанчик. Ой, ой, блин, вот был бы Геральт Игни, а?
Definitely. However, the Warcry can't really be played if you have spies on your board. That's going to come right back to Calvert with that extra added value that you basically gave your opponent. So in this matchup, it's possible that this will clash.
Ребята, пожалуйста, если возникают у людей такие базовые вопросы, типа вот как вот у Рекстона, объясните им, что, блин, это сингл элиминейшн или что-то. Ну, короче, после Вина колода меняется.
Preserve the Impair Brigade. Now, that is a resilience tag. That fist right there means that that unit will stick around for the next round as well. And the reason he targeted the melee row instead of the big 19 in the back is in case his opponent is running Geralt Igni and or Scorch, which is very smart by Fion, being conservative, making sure that what he selects is going to remain for round number 2.
Well, yeah, there is that for sure, as the Alba Spearmen are protecting in that case, but also the Emperor Brigade has has value throughout the game. As long as there's a spy in hand, it's going to get stronger and stronger, and there are 2 in Fion's hand right now. Trump is really hoping.
Не, ну мне же тоже надо, мне интересно слышать, что они там говорят. И, конечно, Фион правильно сделал, что перенес на следующий раунд именно бригаду Импера, потому что, мало ли, там у чувака казнь, опять же, вот Геральт Игни есть. Ему сейчас нельзя играть Амбассадора, потому что если Амбассадор бафнет в первый ряд, то Геральт Игни можно будет снести.
Empower the strength of John Calvate.
You know, it's almost a non-factor though because of how strong Warcry is right now. Warcry just on the bears alone.
Нет, ты чё, какой Амбассадор? Ну, повезло.
Which is actually fortunate for him in a way, because it does not leave the resilient unit vulnerable to Geralt Igni. It's also important to note that perhaps another reason behind him selecting the brigade is that it is not vulnerable to Coral, since it is in the melee row.
Absolutely, absolutely true. Now, I think that this is a very tempting turn to use the Warcry as you were anticipating your opponent. He's going to go for that single target scorch.
35 strength swing, no, 37, mind me.
Я не знаю, зачем он играл Амбассадора сейчас, это было очень рискованно. Я бы лично, ну, бригаду бы еще, ну, посчитал бы сколько там, если у них разница.
This is devastating for him. That's such a huge swing.
Yeah, getting that amount of value out of Geralt Igni is
ну, это бред.
desirable, even though it is just a 1-for-1. It is such an amount of points. So, really, it's kind of just Fion's probably just planning out the future of this game here. What can be done?
То есть там только 33% шансы, что Амбассадор бафнет правильную цель. Да, ссылки постить можно. Ньюфагов посылай. Можешь еще и на Ютубе так делать. А Трампу, по-моему, пасовать можно. То есть ему нужно что-нибудь такое очень жесткое, типа сжечь троечку там и взять, не знаю, что взять, прям, ну, то есть эмиссара и Амбассадора.
You know, this is like he is gonna buff up the spies, but at least he has no big spy to buff up. Like in reality, he's just gonna return them to original. Oh, he's passed.
Да, правильно делает. Трамп прям вообще красавчик. А Трамп, кажется, играть умеет.
Oh, he's got a 23-point lead. I don't think even Vilgefortz can.
Он реально нужно было опасно нажимать.
His cards to play right now are just not great. Roach obviously is not going to do much here, and Cantarella as well.
А потому что Cantarella ему здесь не поможет. То есть все равно он юзает Cantarella, чувак нажимает пас, ему Скальвита не хватает силы.
Fion really thinking here. The clock is ticking.
Probably planning the future.
No, going down round 1 with an equal card advantage.
Походу вторую партию тоже слил.
What you
О, Кантерелла можно раздвоить и убрать плотву. Еще, кстати, может и не слить. У него сейчас все очень-очень четенько. Ему сейчас достаточно выбрать правильную карту этим Стефаном. Правильно затянуть игру, чтобы Трамп дал ему выйти в третий раунд, и там с Кантерелл 3 Кантереллы взять. Ну, это то есть, это жесть. Правда, ему нужно обязательно постараться не выдавать этих Кантерелл сейчас. То есть, нужно постараться их оставить на эти раунды.
So for sure, yeah, being able to put a card on top of the deck benefits every card in Fion's hand here, but it is a special card. Joachim de Wet will only pull a unit. However, Cantarella and
Трамп попасует, и это, возможно, большая ошибка. Но он из этого может слить очень жестко сейчас. Фион сейчас может выиграть релли. Блин, шпион! Зашел. Блин, ну походу все шансы есть у Фиона релли.
It seems so grim after we dropped that first round, but now he's in such a strong spot, preserving his leader's ability. It is Warcry versus Spy Betrayal, and I think Spy Betrayal may be the victor here.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to sequencing here. We're going to have very strong potential spies because of the Warcry, which
А прикиньте, Фион с помощью лета схавает медведей и не даст им размножиться. Ну, типа, под Аркрай их не поставит, либо этих самых, ну, анкрайтов.
It already is a hard card to play because of Cantarella just being on the board.
In case anybody's confused, what Fion is trying to do in this round is he's trying to basically drop a bunch of spies on Trump's side of the board and have them being damaged by Savage Bears, so that if Trump goes for the Warcry, it will double the strength of these spies.
Нарили, надо достать лето.
Ability of John Calvey tremendously, as he will steal them back to his side of the board. He is investing right now. This is an investment. And, oh man.
А самое угарное, что у Фиона есть максимальное время, потому что если он отдаст крик до того, как Кантереллы уйдут на его сторону, то будет очень плохо. То есть он тянет до последнего, смотрит, какие отряды одамажились, кушает их лето, разблокирует и потом все переносит. Короче, Фион выиграл. Изи.
While Border of the Sea does, it's a very solid option. Like, it's, you know, what else would you want at this stage? It's a very powerful gold that can bring out Roach as well. But is that enough? I don't know.
Yeah, it's really, we're going to watch this play out at this point. I think we all know what's possible here.
Oh, decoyed the Cantrell back. Oh my god.
Again, yeah, like I said in the squad.
Майена, мне кажется, его можно выкинуть, не?
You would probably look at Trump's board and say, "Man, that looks great," but none of that is going to stick around.
Oh my god.
Warcry, essentially a dead card. Donar definitely will only help by.
Лето нужно ставить на последнюю карту. Ой, не лето, а Мэна Кайгорна. Потому что он ему принесет плотву. То есть сейчас надо разыграть Вильгельфорца, растянуть время. Мэна играть нельзя, потому что он уничтожит Антарел.
player, right? You kind of have to fish. You have to hope for something. Like, what can he pick up at this point? Like, I have no idea. I think this is like unsavable here, unless he picks up Coral. No, but Coral doesn't affect the Cantarellas because of weather immunity. Oh boy.
Yeah, Cantarella's quite strong. It's almost in this deck with John Calvit.
Кто хавая?
With really almost
Хавай.
drawback.
Давай.
You pull it back
Или
on
нет
the
еще?
side of the board, and the opponent can't answer, especially in this particular matchup where Coral would be, you know, the choice to swing the game in your favor. You just can't do it here. You just can't do it.
This is crazy how this came to be. Yeah, he does have Letho there, and he also has Menno, because why not, you know? Vilgeforce is going to enter the board, going to pick out Broach, he's going to burn her, but it's such cruelty. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do, right? Highly curious case, what will he pick up here?
Well,
and the spies are buffed by the faction passive, so they're going to enable him with more potential power, but just takes the bear, because why not just take a bear?
I think at this point,
Bear's
I
big.
think Fion's pretty confident. I think it's, you know, and then there's some pen, like, as if, you know, it's almost overkill what Fion has in his hand here.
I mean, he could have gone for the Ambassador there, though. Like, that would have been even a stronger swing if you think about it. He was a 4-strength Ambassador that gives 12 strength. Interesting play there.
Может быть и
I guess
профитнее,
he's trying to keep it safe and not overpower like
но
Roach.
по времени не совпадает.
He has Coral. I think he's still playing around Coral. That's why he took the set.
Возможно, он захочет сначала сжечь Канторел, а потом уже их передвинуть. Ну, блин, не, все-таки надо всех
Double work.
на
I
свою
don't think
сторону.
that's what you need here.
Yeah, he definitely
You
wanted
gotta
to
discard that and pick up an Archer.
Yeah, really not. I mean, the Archer is. I mean, what else could have come back? Like, could have come out of that draw? You know, we do know that Trump's playing with Udalric, and we know that he's playing with Cyprian Wiley, but there's really no answer here.
This is gonna be absolutely beautiful if you are a Nilfgaard fan.
Да,
I
и это
am
сейчас нужно играть.
fan, I will say. I'm the ultimate Nilfgaard fanboy. and
Странно.
I'm
Ну да, все правильно сделал.
I am
Максимально
so
выгодно.
excited to witness this.
Молодец.
The Gwent Challenger, the first ever Gwent tournament. We're gonna witness a massive, a ridiculous John Calvate swing. It's gonna be beautiful.
I think it's great that this series opened up with someone who brought Nilfgaard.
Yes.
I couldn't
Трампу надо было вытягивать до последнего карты. Ё-моё, это же скеллиги. Там за одну карту можно выиграть раунд.
does have counters, but when you know what you're playing against, or what you more specifically
Ну, за две.
you can have.
Трамп ошибку сделал. Очень большую.
I think it's really just a matter of time.
Не, правильно поставил это, сюда.
Just continues to play powerful card after powerful card. It's just a matter of time until perhaps a forfeit comes here.
The shackles applied onto Letho, taking away the gold status of the card, which means that it will also betray Croc on Crate when John Calvate calls his name. And that will be a 37 strength loss for Trump and a 37 strength gain for Fion. This strength, those numbers that you see right there, they're about to flip, ladies and gentlemen.
Calvit does have to happen now, though.
Yep.
There it is.
Beat.
О,
Look at
как
that
же это
swing, ladies
мощно.
and gentlemen. 19 strength versus 36. Warcry, unfortunately, is nowhere near enough as Trump does give out the match. GG. Beautiful.
Fion going up 2-1 in the series.
Getting that John Calvate
Got
win,
that John
too.
Calvate win.
Well done.
Very good, very
Outstanding.
good.
Outstanding.
Лично
I love
Фиончик
that.
улыбается.
Nilfgaard's your favorite faction.
I'm
is that-
so happy
You're
this
so
happened. I'm trying to control my
А, у
fanboys,
них
but oh
скрины
my
дек,
God.
и они просто зачеркивают карты,
Yeah,
лол.
Nilfgaard's a real underdog at the state of the game right now.
Third game.
Yeah,
Third game.
third game we got to see. Nilfgaard take a win. That's great.
I love you, Fion.
Вообще красиво, конечно.
Already hitting celebrity stats.
Лето
Getting
нужно
fairly
контрить тем,
celebrity
чтобы во
stats.
втором раунде затягивать игру, и все.
Deserve everything.
All right, we do
What
know
a
Келлиги реально может выиграть за одну
coming in
карту.
here. We're gonna see
Спокойно.
full test on full test.
За один рез
Headshot
какой-нибудь.
is a really
За одну
popular
этих
round
Фриду.
later, but both of these players taking full test instead. I like full test personally. I think
О,
all of them
фольтест.
are pretty good. Hensel is a
Yeah.
clear
Будет зеркало.
dominant
Ага,
force
это
right now
фольтес
in the game.
с этими,
But, full test
с
is
базуками.
a choice.
Yeah, full test is also
I think
pretty
it's
solid.
gonna
Баллистами.
make for, an interesting tournament if we see
Мне кажется, у Фиона будет версия более похожая на мою, ну, на инусскую. Без баллист. Пера и этого, да-да-да, и медика теперь, нет? Медика, 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 медика. Либо небо.
Perhaps you can explain the faction to newer players, how it functions and such.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you want to build it. Full test has options, but we can see, at least in this case, in Fion's case, probably the main.
Пошло, короче, Фион первый раунд выиграл.
Really aggressive with full test, especially with cards like Dandelion, which is a very good first play. Every card that comes onto the board now on Fion's side will be buffed by 2.
Но сейчас придется...
So terrible if
Ой,
Dandelion
странно.
is not
Лол. Нет, ты чё, Трамп? Надо убивать этого самого. ГВП, короче. Там слил, он сделал неправильный второй ход. А, нет, правильно. Ладно. Ну, ему повезло с ударами. Повезло просто. Пиона, конечно, можно было бы бафнуть на 3. Типа вместо 3 бушетов сейчас выставить осадного мастера, потом призвать еще одного осадного мастера, и только после этого вызывать и бушет.
Yeah, one of the reasons why Northern Realms can be so aggressive is because they are strong in every round, really. I mean, they have the Trebuchet is one of the best bronzes in the game at this point, and Field Medic is also one of those cards. So while you can fight for round 1 very clearly, what you can do with one card in Northern Realms is nothing short of filthy. If you can just pull, there's some great chains that can occur. Reaver Scouts can pull additional medics, which can pull, just pull additional scouts.
Ну, то есть Кабрили и Фиону надо было бафать Лютика.
Yeah, you can do stuff with it, especially if you bring back King of Beggars, which could perhaps hit a medic or a scout, which could produce another medic, and then there's also full test. Both players can copy a bronze card. Sometimes that is a medic or a Reaver Scout to produce a second card here.
Yes. We do see Prince Dennis and Siri in the hand of Trump, so he must be very adamant about winning this first round. Both players had gotten 3 copies of Reinforced Trebuchet onto the Siege Row. In case you guys are wondering, these guys do indeed ping at the opponent every single turn. That little one...
А не то, что Фиону не зашло золото, это как бы не так-то и плохо. Типа, ему уж нечего играть Трампу. Если он не будет поставляться под Игни, то Игни не сыграешь. Шани тоже не сыграешь. Цири тоже не сыграешь. То есть у него заблокированные ходы. А Фион может играть до последнего. Только я бы на самом деле на его месте бы сейчас... А, нет, нельзя убивать. Нельзя сейчас убивать существ, потому что у него Шани. Можно заблочить. Нет, заблочить тоже. Ребята, Гром, если он сыграет Гром, он даст возможность Трампу разыграть Шани, либо бронзового медика. Он этого не хочет делать. Это нужно оттягивать до последнего момента.
Right now, standing at a total of 8 strength lead. He's not looking that bad, but his options are becoming less and less. As that Igni...
Тут я там Мантикор или... Ну, вообще надо сейчас играть этого, да. Бафовщика.
So you could say that he basically has decoy and the leader's ability left, unless his opponent generates more strength, so he can get some value out of Igni.
Трансляция долго будет идти. Очень долго.
Igni destroys the strongest unit in a row, but it has a requirement to have this effect triggered, and that is for said row to have a total of 20 strength or more. And as you can see right now, Fion's strongest row only has 17, so Igni, as of right now, is of no use.
So now this is a mirror match, so we're going to see a lot of similar things happen, and the decks are built similarly, but there are some.
Да, скорее всего убьют Присциллу. Надо будет сразу после этого юзать яд. Сразу же. Ненеки, лол. Не знаю, так ощущение, что надо сейчас пасовать Пиону. Ему играть, ну то есть, типа, хороший вариант. Ему нужно подать еще 2 карты Трампу. Но тогда Цири разыграется 100%, но у него есть кандалы, поэтому как бы похер на Цири.
But these trebuchets keep firing at each other, so they're basically like evening out the progress and strength of both players as they're just canceling each other out. Double resurrection in the hand of Trump, though. Like I said, it's a very limited hand. Fion really has to think what to do here. We may see a Manticore Velm being developed by him. It has really solid value. Like it clears a good, like it has a very clean hit.
Тут все правильно. Ненеке. Вот если бы он сразу бы юзанул, резнул бы Лютика.
Let the fans know what Fultus does.
Yeah, for sure. Fultus being able to copy a bronze unit and then immediately play that unit's effect, copied exactly. So if it's buffed or wounded, it is the exact same.
5-5-5. О, на 15 силы сейчас Игни сойдет.
Oh my god. In a future round. Fion set up for that Igni actually by buffing up the reinforced trebuchet. Slight misplay there. Oh,
and the emotes coming out.
Oh.
There are some emotes here, and we finally saw our first big stage.
Oh man, will that get to Fion? I think that was a misplay by him actually, buffing up that weakened trebuchet and setting up.
Lined it up, yeah.
Yep.
It's an interesting choice. Both decks are running Geralt Igni. Both.
Ему сейчас единственный вариант это копернуть фольтестом Рубайлу, призвать еще одного инженера. Ну, блин, ну мне кажется, тут, блин, он очень серьезный мисплей сделал. Очень серьезный. Надо же всегда играть от Игни, даже Калеста Север, у них оно часто бывает. И он, как так?
We see Priscilla into decoy, basically reactivating Priscilla again and getting a field medic into a Reaver Scout. This is the chain that I'm talking about. This is the endless chain I'm talking about. Look at all this strength. It's not just one unit, it's a bunch of different units, but together.
Ну, этот раунд точно выиграл с Трамп. Получается, ну, типа, ГГ, ну, что у него идет Цири. Изи.
Mean the end towards him. There's the Manticore Venom taking down one of the reinforced trebuchets.
Locked up at 31 here. Yeah. The choice really here is, you know, will control be enough? The thing that Fion is probably very cognizant about is that while he is.
Тут можно сейчас сделать такой вариантик, копернуть Рубайлу и призвать еще одного медика. Да, с обоих сторон такой вариант работает.
Seeing Igni is great, knowing that that's not going to be a threat later on. But you know, I think at this point with this hand that Fion.
Екатерина, комментирую я так себе. Хорошо комментируешь Шмель. Ну серьезно, тут вообще вариантов нет. Фиону играть просто нечем. Сейчас максимум может выручить 11 силы, 3 из которых перебьет трибушет. Типа еще молния, ну все, ну типа, блин, ну что делать?
Testing Trump's resolve here on the pass probably because full test could be enough to take it in some situations.
Trump was none of it. He sees that Siri in his hand and he wants to ensure that he wins his first round. And I think this play.
Там вот сейчас на месте Трампа, что бы ни сделал Фион, я бы просто пасанул, потому что ну все, ну типа, ну сил нет уже. Тебе стреляют бушеты. Спокойно, Вин. Так, смотри, он бафнул не трибушет, по-моему, он трибушет апнул, или как? Надо было апать самый здоровый ребушет, чтобы наверняка. Амякин кальвейт против, не помню кого. Калит против Скеллиги.
But the misplay by Fion and Trump being able to capitalize on it very efficiently, definitely won the round right there. And Siri is a very interesting card. It is actually, in my opinion, one of the strongest gold cards in the game. But there's the shackles to deny its value. What Siri basically does is that in the round that you lose, she will return to your hand. This may not seem like a big thing, but it actually is because she provides you with card advantage. There are very few ways to obtain card advantage in Gwent, and Siri can actually push for that while generating strength on your side of the board, which is what makes her so powerful.
Я практически всегда молчу. Я не комментирую, лол.
Devastating for Trump as he has a lot of control here. He looks like he's pushing for the 2-0 here.
Oh man, he is pushing for the 2-0. Like he wants.
А Шмели я сейчас не знаю где. Ребята, отвечайте на вопросы публики про, блин, какая стадия турнира и так далее. Я на эти вопросы отвлекаться не буду. Ну, блин, сейчас надо за одну карту 19 силы поднимать. Фиону. Да, правильно, Шани. Присциллу сейчас надо поднимать. И что-нибудь медика, да. Да, вообще. Медика еще одну. Нет, нет, плохо. Кошка, ты золото. One of the strongest cards. I feel like we're saying this a lot. Of course, this is a tournament, so the players are going to be bringing. Существует у Фиона огромнейшая проблема, просто невероятная. У него фольтест пустую уйдет. Ему Цири не хватит. Если Трампу не зайдет ни одна бронза, то есть шанс у Фиона. Есть шанс. Но сейчас нужно Ненеке нужна Игни. Нет, все ГВП. Он выиграл. Вот, тут ты, Трамп выиграл. 2-2.
So we're going to have to see. There's really, unless it's looking like Igni's not going to get anything done here.
That Kiriwani-C support in his hand, followed by the Reaver Scout, can actually translate into a total of, I believe, 14 strength plus Yennefer in his hand. Oh man, this is looking very great. If he does sequence this,
Я на самом деле потом, наверное, буду пересматривать трансляцию. Пересматривать трансляцию этого русской группы, потому что интересно, как там с Альтир отработал. Ну все, Трамп выиграл. Ну, в смысле, 2-2. Сейчас будет. Сейчас будет решающее. По-моему, сейчас будет Скеллиге против Севера. Айрон, они играют Best of 5. Чтобы пройти, нужно выиграть 3 матча.
And also, it was unfortunate Fion was really not able to use full testability. You got to have a bronze card on the board, and there was an opportunity in the second round. I incorrectly said that it was dead in round 2.
Не повезло очень сильно в первом раунде с трибушетами, так бы Фион выиграл. Блин, Фион так волнуется, пипец. Прям чувствует напряжение.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last game of this set. 2-2. Whoever wins this match takes it all. It's interesting to point out that Trump has actually won the first game, which is the other 2 decks, and this is the one deck that he hasn't managed to.
Да, Трамп на самом деле играет лучше, чем я думал. Так, у него лютик, а я не вижу карту из-за чата. А, 4, да? Окей. 4. Шани, блин, у него, блин, ну как бы... И он с такой рукой должен выиграть первый раунд, это 100%. Ну ё-моё, там Лютик, Шани, 4. Ну, то есть у него все возможности, чтобы выиграть раунд, все просто. Но у него и чистое небо есть, ё-моё. Но проблема-то город Атовица, Польша.
Shani does promote whatever she resurrects to a gold card, and having Dandelion being impossible to remove is, well, you could always lock it, I suppose, but it's usually one of the best choices in a long final round.
Yep. Immediately going for the Althor's Thunder, denying that Savage Bear. Fion, what's
А у него нету этого. У Трампа нету короля нищих. Поэтому придется тратить Экфриду.
Choice here to bring the bear back. He would have to spend, Sigurdrifa, which is a very strong medic target that can resurrect silver cards as well as bronze cards. So using Sigurdrifa for a bronze card is clearly showing how much he values that bear and how much it's needed.
There goes the Trebuchet. Dandelion healing up the catapult after the bear has a bite at it. As we're going to see the Raging Berserker enter the board, getting hit by the bear and transforming.
Главное сейчас не поставиться под ошибка, мне кажется. Я бы на месте Фиона бы сейчас просто сыграл трибушет, а доставал с помощью Рубайла уже этого инженера. Ну, на его месте я бы не жалел Шани. Я никогда, ну, я лично никогда не жалею Шани на Лютика в первом раунде. Потому что выигрыш первого раунда — это очень важно. Ищет Ненеки.
To deny the randomness of it and, you know, pull that removal for a very powerful tool for Northern Realms. Very solid play from a player.
Вот, о чем я и говорил. Если бы он сыграл инженера, он бы мог спокойно бы сейчас разыграть короля нищих стабильно. Призвал бы либо второй трибушет, либо второго инженера. Все было бы просто. Я лично со своей стороны считаю, что это ошибка. Надо было играть инженера, надо разнообразие отрядов делать. Ну, как бы я на этой деке играю много, знаю, о чем говорю. И не жалеть Шани — это 100%. Блин, ну ё-моё. Теряешь очень много силы. У тебя есть, блин, 4, чего ты жалеешь? Вкладывай в первый раунд все. Плюс у тебя еще плотва есть.
But it seems alternatively could play Coral on the row. He's gonna go for the Crown credibility. It's important to note that Fion is holding on to a Clear Skies in his hand. He knows that Coral is pretty much an auto-include in every single Skellige deck out there, so let's hope that he actually preserves it or not.
Да, против Крика он не сделает ничего. Но проблема в том, что если бы он не пожадничал, у него было бы сейчас, ну, тупо больше силы, причем намного. Насилил так почти 20. И он бы дальше этим играл, призвал бы Фолдестом еще там силы 20. Ну, то есть, жадничает. Это его погубит, учитывая, что это решающий раунд. Я думаю, он сейчас очень волнуется, и вполне вероятно, что Фион сейчас может и слить Трампу. Типа, все сейчас на стороне Трампа идет. Прям, ну, у него все окей, и Игни есть, и Корал, и Шпион. Типа, перепас, да.
Here's the thing about Siri, in case you guys, because it does go back to the hand after you lose a round, but Siri can also be used aggressively.
Серепас — это реально был сейчас, наверное, единственный вариант как-то выровнять положение. Ну зачем, Фион, зачем ты же пожалел, пожадничал Шани, мог просто выиграть раунд.
It seems like he is going to go for the Archer. Potentially damage his own bear in the process.
Yeah, the great thing about Siri is that she's very much like a spy, can produce that card advantage, but without actually that risk of giving your opponent strength at all. So playing her in round 1, while you generally don't ever want your opponent to get a card back.
Если бы у него было 3 этих самых, ему бы все равно не хватало.
Giving the round to your opponent, but that's a huge cost. I think that's a huge cost here, especially round 1. Very important, as we have said.
He drops the reinforced trebuchet, keeping on pushing. Fion wants to get that war cry.
Если Трамп сейчас просирает Шпиона, то по любасу надо вставать.
It seems like Trump, instead of going for the war cry, is gonna set up the Igni. Now, this could be a little bit of an issue for him. later down the line if he does not draw any more, because he's already gone for his leader's ability, you know, and he's proper setup for a Warcry, so he needs to be careful here. As he goes for the Igni and burns the strongest Trebuchet in the Siege Row, 10 strength gone.
Сейчас Варик только скопирнуть Фольтестом Рубайлу. Получить 14 силы. А сыграть дальше. Да, правильно делает. Ну, то есть других вариантов нет. Опять же, вы уже ребята, вот смотрите, он пожалел Шани, из-за этого он уже в этом раунде растерял силы 15 примерно, ну 10 сил, это минимум. Ну типа все. Давай надо. Вот это Шани зарешала. Рили зарешала, и медик впустую был сыгран. То есть вообще все очень плохо.
But we see the spy from Trump, which is going to give him card advantage, which is very key leading onwards to the last round. This is going to be a very tight game, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, as tight as it can be. People thought this was going to be like a complete dominating performance.
Скинул Киприана.
I think speak for yourself. I think Trump had a chance. 35%. I think, yeah, very modest as we said before. Yeah. But yeah, definitely being able to play the spy in round 2 when winning is what you want to see. And Siri coming down immediately from Fion, not giving his opponent any extra information here.
Если Трамп сейчас посмотрит, он такой: господи, Трамп, что ты делаешь? Ребята, вот Трамп не был на стримах Шмеля, поэтому он как бы не знает, что шпионов так нельзя делать. Ну, шпионов так играть нельзя. В итоге у них одинаковая карта, ну, типа, карты одинаковые, считай.
This is it right here. This is the final round of the final game of the first series here at the Gwent Challenger.
В принципе, Фион еще может выиграть. Андрей, я бы на месте Фиона воскрешал бы сразу Шани, воскрешал бы Лютика. Так что за рофл, блин? Какой Джойн Тайм? Надо было разыгрывать шпиона еще в первом раунде. У тебя есть Орал, который обезвреживает весь ряд. Ты просто байтишь чувака как бы на пас и за одну карту сносишь. А Фион-то выиграет, лол. Of a man who surpassed a lot of key players in the Redanian qualifier. He has a 48 strength board, while Trump has quite some catching up to do. He has very powerful goals to swing the game. И он-то походу выиграет. I do not know if it will be enough. Самое главное, что он, наверное, не знает, но ему сейчас невыгодно выстраиваться в передний ряд. Ему надо резать ловчего, потому что в таком случае он сыграет яд Мантикоры на 12, а не на 8. Но он как бы это, ну, он этого не знает. И порезать нужно не медведя. Если он резнет медведя, то проиграет 100%. Надо резать, да-да-да-да. Во, правильно сделал мужик. Что? Нафига? Зачем он бьет по осадному ряду? Зачем? Зачем, Трамп? Что ты делаешь? Что ты делаешь? Ты потерял 3 силы просто. Ты просто потерял 3 силы. Ты хочешь потратить на средний ряд Корал? Ну ё-моё, а смысл? Можно бить по мили ряду и все. Он может не знает, что Корал не выставляется в передний ряд? Передний ряд бафай, давай. Фиончик, передний ряд, передний ряд.
Ultimately, I mean, you're happy to play rally here because, you know, Coral can't hit that front row.
He basically targeted everything on the range row and seas row, which is a little bit.
Ну все.
Let's see what happens here.
Трамп слил из-за своего жуткого... Блин, да Трамп выиграть по ходу мог, нет? Он столько урона просрал. Он просрал как минимум почти 3, 5... Ему, походу, все равно бы не хватило. Лол. Ну, Фион красавчик. Трамп в конце затупил, пипец, очень много. Трамп немножко, да, не шарит рейли, он выиграл раунд. Надо было вытягивать карты до последнего просто. Ша нету там.